Welcome to the Harley Davidson Nightster. Oh no, wrong bike. Here's the Nightster, just next to the Sportster S. Finally updated their Sportster range. It's got the 975 Evolution Max engine in it. Is it a real Harley? Is it as characterful as Harley Davidson should be with this new Evolution Max engine? Only one way to find out. Let's jump on board and go for a ride. So guys, I thought before we jump on the new Nightster here, we'll park it up right next to the Sportster S, which is a brand new Sportster. Well, it's not brand new, it's been out for about a year now. I've actually test ridden the Sportster S. It's an absolute weapon, in all honesty. It's very fast, real sort of aggressive hardcore sports bike. And then I think the looks wise, I'm edging on the Nightster. Looks more classic Harley Davidson to me, sort of higher at the front, etc. It's got those more classic Sportster looks. Anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd show you that. That's a real interesting bike. If I'm being completely honest, not 100% for me, the Sportster S, but I hold out more hopes for this. It's more classic style and is slightly down on power. It's still got 89 brake horsepower and 95 newton meters of torque. So there's a fair bit of power there, considerably more than the old Harley Sportsters. Massive thanks Harley Davidson Oxford here in Abingdon, part of Blade Motorcycles Group, for letting me test ride this bike for the second time. So full disclosure, I've actually ridden this bike already. I did a nice first ride review, full review, all went really well, and then got back, put the footage on the computer, and the audio is just like terrible, unusable. So yeah, I'm back to ride it again a second time. So I do know her alright, and I can say, is it a real Harley Davidson? The baby Harley? It's definitely got some feelings of Harley in it. Okay, it's not the old school air-cooled V-twins that the old Sportsters used to have, that vibey, incredibly characterful engine, but this bike's definitely got some other benefits to it compared to the older version. Straight off the bat, let's get some fuel in the old girl so we can actually go somewhere. An interesting one that Harley Davidson have gone for. You expect the fuel to be up here in the fuel tank, but no. Ta-da! There she is. This is where you top the fuel up. So the fuel tank's actually underneath the seat. It's here, literally here. This here is just an airbox cover. Little trick from Harley there. We'll go into it a little bit later if it works and why it's good, but basically it keeps all of the weight really low down. Actually, a neat little trick. So, few specs for you. With the fuel tank being beneath the seat, all in wet weight is 221 kilograms. You got a seat height of 705 millimeters, so a nice low seat height, not ridiculously low, but very manageable and standards at Harley really. And that fuel tank is actually, top of my head, it's 11.5 litres, there or thereabouts. For a bike like this, such a small bike, that's not too bad at all. It's actually the same as on my Triumph Speedmaster for comparison, so yeah. Brakes up front, yeah, we got dual Brembo 4-piston calipers. Is it dual? No, get your facts right, it's a single. So that's always something I find a little bit having to get used to, whether the single brakes are up to it, but they feel pretty good so far, to be honest. Actually a nice sort of throw on the front brake lever, it's quite nice. Oh, it's a bit of a weapon, this. If you can hear the exhaust, it's very reminiscent of a sort of Ducati V-twin, like a Ducati Monster or something. It's got that V-twin character, but quicker pulsing, unlike the old Sportsters, which was more of a slower thrub. This is a quicker, you know, it's a sportier bike. It's quick and it feels light. For a Harley Davidson at 221 kilograms, that's very light for a Harley. So you've got 3 riding modes. We got just a button on your right, keep your eyes on the road at the same time. You literally just press it once, throttle off, and then it changes. We're in rain mode now, yeah, which really dulls the throttle down. In third now, go full on. It's not bad, but yeah, that's a significant difference. Let's pop it up into a road. Yeah, a bit more there, but I want more than that. Yeah, Sport's where it's at. Sport's considerably more responsive on the throttle. To be honest, it feels a bit more like middleweight naked sports bike in its performance. To just put the weight into perspective for you, for a Harley, this Nightster is 76 kilograms less than the Softail standard Harley, which is like the entry level to the Softail range. 76 kilograms less. You can get a feel for this bike just by that figure, I think. It really is a light motorcycle for a Harley. Bearing that in mind, I think it's quite good as an entry level Harley, baby Harley so to speak. It's very easy to ride, very easy to manhandle when you pull over in lay-bys or in a car park, especially with the weight load down with the fuel tank. It is so light, and I will say it does feel like a Sportster should in the size and dimensions. I felt like the Sportster S was just so far different to any other Harley I'd ever ridden. I didn't quite understand it. It's just a completely different bike. Whereas this is more reminiscent, the Nightster is more reminiscent to a Harley than I was expecting. Right, what's she like on faster roads? Well, I'm going 70 miles an hour now in 5th gear, and we still got 6 to go. There's plenty of power and go there. You say this is an entry-level bike, but it's 89 brake horsepower and 95 Nm of torque, so it's really not lacking in power. It's a fast bike. I would say if you're new to the market, to the motorbiking world, and you were thinking of this for a first bike, first of all, it's expensive for a first bike. But that varies compared to how much money you have. But yeah, you could get this, you could pop it in rain mode, and then you always have the options to go up to road and then sport. In rain mode, it's a very docile, easy thing to live with. You go up to sport, it's not crazy, but you can have some fun with it. It's a bit weird just for a Harley, because I expect a big thumping, long, lazy twin, whereas this is not that. It's quite a fast, like a bit more like a wasp is my professional description. But it's cool. It does have the vibes. I do feel slightly badass on it. I am getting the Harley vibes from it. I do feel the riding position is quite sort of aggressive. It's not too sporty. You can tell you're riding a Harley, that's for sure. Onto the dash, move my ugly bag out the way. This dash here is very nice. So the one on the Sportster S is fully TFT, fully digital colour display. It's very impressive actually. I think Harley have done a great job with that, although it is slightly complicated. On the Sportster S, it's a nice screen. The Nightster here, you're going slightly more simple, slightly more old school, which personally, for this style of bike, I prefer. You don't want it to be overcomplicated, so you've got your nice analog dial, and then you've got your digital sort of rev counter, fuel gauge, ODO miles, etc. down there. So yeah, it's a cool bike, this. It's easy, it's a light machine. It's got a larger front wheel, so you do have that Harley sort of cruiser vibe and attitude about it in a good way. Whether I would take this engine over the old school sort of 1200 Sportster, I don't know. I mean, this is for sure a better engine in all like technicalities. It's a lot faster, a lot more efficient, a lot more refined, but maybe you could argue lacking a bit of character. So what about the switchgear on this baby Harley? It's good. It's nothing to write home about, but then actually it's definitely not tacky, for want of a better term. It's quality switchgear actually, nice and simple as well. I like the way you turn it on with this sort of whiz wheel. You sort of push that to the side and then push the button down. It's a nice way of turning the ignition on. Horn on the left, in normal indicators, so you don't have the left and right indicators like on the bigger Harleys. High beam, low beam, passing light there, and then just your mode there and traction control. Yeah, the dials are good, like the setup of these dials. Alright, let's pull into this pub and have a pint. Now let's have a little bit more of a walk around of some of the features of the new Nightster. Nice place to stop just outside this pub actually. Thought it would be a nice backdrop to the Nightster. These type style of bikes may spend a bit of time at the pub, but things I like about the bike, looks are subjective. What do you think about the looks? But I think compared to the Sportster S, And sorry, I keep on harking back to the Sportster S, but I think this looks a fair bit nicer than the Sportster S, and I think it looks more Harley Davidson, more classic Harley Davidson to me. Plane going over. The profile of the bike lower at the back and raising at the front with the, well, it's not the fuel tank, the airbox cover, but and then up to the front with the sort of mini fairing, sort of dart fly screen, whatever you like to call that. It looks much more traditional Harley Davidson. So along with the raised profile at the front of the bike, as you come to the back, it's much more traditional. Rear fender mudguard over the rear wheel, single seat. It's just much more traditional, classic Harley in my opinion. One thing about the looks I potentially don't like too much, touch it too much because it's hot, but is that exhaust. To say the least, it's big. It's very sort of chunky piece of metal there. It doesn't look too bad because it's in black. It's sort of blending in a bit with the rest of the bike. It doesn't stand out that much, but I feel it if that was slightly slimmer, maybe an aftermarket exhaust on there, would make the whole bike sort of look a bit more stripped down and a bit more Sportster-esque. So suspension, at the rear you've got these dual outboard shock absorbers on either side, which are nicely exposed, so it actually gives the bike a more sort of simple, old school, classic vibe to it, more harking towards the sort of Sportster feel of Harley Davidson's. So for the suspension up front, guys, you've got 41mm Showa forks up front, and yeah, the suspension's actually all being fairly basic. It's nice on the road. It's nicely damped, nice stiffness to it, and suits the vibe of this bike well. It actually handles surprisingly well, this bike. You can tip it into a corner and hustle it and have a bit of fun with it. Onto the engine, the 975 Revolution Max, 85 brake horsepower, 89 brake horsepower, 95 Newton meters of torque. I don't think it is as characterful as the older Sportsters. It just doesn't have that raw, air-cooled V-twin vibe to it. However, I like the way they've had this box here protruding from the engine. That's a nice feature. I think that looks really nice and old school. And I think the engine itself looks good aesthetically whilst looking at it. It's pleasing to the eye. Of course, it is all behind all of the covers. It's not exposed. You can't see any of the grooves in the engines or the pistons or anything like that. The piston covers. It's a new direction forward for Harley. Good for the environment, Euro 5 emissions and everything. And it's still got character, this. It's definitely still, you can feel it's a V-twin, 100%. It's faster. It's a fair bit faster than the old ones. Right guys, let's leave the Black Horse, I think this pub is called, and go for a little bit of another cruise on the Nightster, which actually I'm looking forward to. It's a good, fun bike to ride. It's very nice, sort of all you need really for the road. I know people say that a lot. You don't need any more power than this. You don't need any more weight than this, certainly if you're not going on long cruises. If you're not carrying a pillion or bags or anything. It's a great little bike just to have and just to ride and enjoy. Simple. So keep it simple. Other things I do like are these bar end mirrors. I think they're really cool, come as standard, and they work well as well as mirrors, work a treat. And another thing about this Nightster, unlike the Sportster S, you will be able to, I was talking to Alan at Oxford Ducati, you know, you're going to be able to get yourself some aftermarket handlebars if you so wish. I don't know specifically which ones, but you will be able to. I can imagine you could get some sort of mini apes on here. I think would look really cool with the mini fairing fly screen at the front. You could possibly change the seat out for something. Well, I would go for like a brown ribbed diamond stitched seat. I think that would look mega. You could spec it out. I'd probably get like a postman's sort of saddleman bag, you know, on the side there. You could spec it out and make it look really cool, sort of vibey and Sportster-esque. Right, let's go for a cruise. It is a nice engine. It takes time to get used to, but if you could change that end can out as well, make it a little bit more throaty and deeper sounds, it's a good bike. It's a good proposition. It's not lacking too much character. So that is sort of one testament to these bikes I find riding them is when you jump back on it, are you excited to going riding on it again? And I am on this. It's quick. It's not like a classic Harley. It feels like a sports bike. The handling's good. It's very planted. It's got a larger front wheel at the front, so it's not mega sharp to turn in, but it turns in, and once it's in, you can get a bit of a lean on. So the elephant in the room, the price. Would I buy one of these? For the price, you are getting a bike. It genuinely feels well built and reliable. I can't say for how reliable it is, haven't had it for long term, but everything feels quite good quality, to be honest. It doesn't feel like anything's gonna break or break down or anything. It's quality build, and I feel confident in this machine, which is important, especially at nearly £13,000. But that is one of the benefits you're getting. Would I have one? You'd have to look long and hard at the competition. For 13 grand, you can get a lot of bike elsewhere, I will be honest. But this is a good bike, and it's great fun. And if you want to enter the Harley Davidson range, this is where you got to go. Harleys are our premium end of the market price wise, so that's what it is really. If you want a Harley, you got to have a Harley. I suppose you could, it's tricky to what you could compare it to. You got your maybe the Triumph, I don't know, Triumph Scrambler 1200 or the T120, possibly the, I don't know, Royal Enfields, but then Royal Enfields are less than half the price. You could almost compare it to the midweight nakeds as well, like the Ducatis, the KTM 790, things like that. It's a versatile bike, this. All in all, regardless of the price, it's a great fun bike, mixed with sort of classic riding position, classic Harley styling, but with a modern engine in it. It's a light clutch, light gear throw. It's an interesting direction. I wouldn't want Harley to go this direction with their main softails, but for the Sportster range, I think it's a good option for Harley. Worth a ride if you're interested in one, that's for sure. A sporty ride as well. Put your sporty hat on. Cool, thanks very much for watching. If you want to check out some of my other motorbike reviews, then there'll be some links at the end of this video. Do go and check those out and binge watch the whole episode. There's some cracking reviews out there. Anyway, many thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Ciao bella.